Zweli Mkhize became a Minister of Health in 2019 and he resigned from being a minister in 2021. Why did he resign? Because of this.
Health Minister Zweli Mkhize and his son Tetani could soon face criminal charges over their alleged involvement in the Digital Vibes scandal. Now, it's been reported this week that the Special Investigating Unit has referred them to the NPA for a probe into suspicious payments that they're alleged to have received from that company. Mkhize, you might recall, stepped aside earlier this year after he and his family were alleged to have benefited from an irregular 150 million rand communications contract given to Digital Vibes. The company is owned by Mkhize's associate Tahira Matha, who is said to enjoy a close relationship with the minister's son Tetani.
Mkhize was being investigated by the committee on two parts of a complaint made by DA MP Siviwe Hwahube, one being that his son benefited from the Digital Vibes company contracted by the Department of Health for various services during the peak of the COVID-19 pandemic, and another of the same company paying for his electrical maintenance to his home. Mkhize was cleared despite the Special Investigating Unit finding on the matter. Just recently, the SIU got the green light to retrieve funds from the companies linked to Mkhize and Digital Vibes.
Well, the Daily Maverick has uncovered more alleged dirt in the Digital Vibes scandal. The publication claims to have evidence that the company which won the contract allegedly purchased a second-hand bakkie for Health Minister Dr. Zweli Mkhize's son, Tetani. It follows an expose which found that Mkhize's associates scooped a dodgy 150 million rand COVID-19 communications tender with the health department.
The money was spent on things like lavish shopping sprees, trips overseas, home renovations, and even a Land Cruiser for Mkhize's son and a nail bar for Mkhize's daughter-in-law.
In response to all the allegations, what did Zweli Mkhize have to say for himself?
I fully acknowledge and take personal responsibility for the public outrage that has been caused by this Digital Vibe contract. Want to state it upfront that I do not in any way undermine the voices, the views, the disappointment, the anger and the calls for accountability that have been made by the citizens. The negative discourse has not only had impact on me, but it has also had impact on my family. But most of all, also it has tainted the teamwork of our government that is led by President in our continued efforts to fight COVID-19 situation. It's also caused a bit of disruption. And so for all of this, I want to unreservedly apologize.
Why would you need to apologize if you have done nothing wrong? I mean, the fact that your own family benefited is a sign of something wrong, is it not? Now, what did the ANC do about this issue? What did President Cyril Ramaphosa do about this issue?
Breaking news, we've just learned that President Cyril Ramaphosa has today, the 8th of June, placed Minister of Health Dr. Zweli Mkhize on special leave. This period of special leave will enable the minister to attend to allegations and investigations concerning contracts between the Department of Health and service provider Digital Vibes. Now, the Special Investigative Unit, as you know, the SI unit is investigating this matter, and the President awaits a report on the outcome of this probe. The statement then announces that the Minister of Tourism, Ms. Mamoluko Kubai Ngubane, will serve as acting Minister of Health until further notice.
Regardless of all the evidence against the man, he was put on special leave. By who? By President Cyril Ramaphosa.
But remind us again what the accused have told the court so far.
Yeah, good afternoon, Shahan. Well, earlier this week, we heard most of the four accused had presented their arguments. The gist of what they're saying is that the confessions that were taken from them were done so under duress. Accused number one went as far as to implicate former Health Minister Zweli Mkhize as having orchestrated or hired them to commit this murder. The accused say that they were tortured, they were assaulted, and they thought they were going to die. And in order to bring an end to this torture that they thought there was going to kill them, they confessed to the allegations which they say had been put to them by the Hawks. They say they had no knowledge of any conspiracy to kill Babita Deokaran, nor have they ever been part of any plan to have her murdered, nor were they actually involved in the murder that took place.
Yeah, interesting, though, because the state is still opposing bail. They're insisting they actually have a strong case. So what evidence do they have?
Well, Shahan, what the state is saying is that, well, yeah, we are going to continue to rely on the confessions that were made, but they're saying we have corroborated not only what is in the confession, but we've managed to obtain the evidence which places the accused not just at the scene of crime on the day of the murder, but in the preceding days, when they say these were the scouting days, when they went out to Deokaran's house to, just have a look at the streets around there to make the plan. On the morning of the murder, there is CCTV footage that was taken at a nearby shopping centre where Babita Deokaran popped in to get some groceries. The vehicles that had been linked to this crime were at that shopping centre. Some of the accused went into the shopping centre with her just to keep an eye on her. There's also a cell phone that has been seized from one of the accused that has a photograph of the outside of Deokaran's home.
Sadly, to this day, we have no clue who the mastermind behind the assassination of Babita Deokaran is. Yes, Babita was assassinated by gunmen, but it is obvious that the gunmen were simply agents of someone who had benefited from the billions being looted from our nation. They arrested the suspects, but once that was done, everyone moved on with their lives. How does that even make sense? A whistleblower is assassinated. We know why she was assassinated. Yet the president of our nation just sits by and does nothing, The citizens of our nation just move on and do nothing, yet they are willing to make a big hoo-ha for much smaller things than that. Maybe it's because they don't understand how what Babita was exposing directly affects them, their families, and their future. We have the gunmen. That's it. There's nothing else to see here. Really? Come on, South Africans. Let's start taking ourselves and our nation seriously. One of the gunmen did say Zweli Mkhize was behind the assassination, but he later retracted his statement. Why? Who knows?
Earlier this week, we heard most of the four accused had presented their arguments. The gist of what they're saying is that the confessions that were taken from them were done so under duress. Accused number one went as far as to implicate former Health Minister Zweli Mkhize as having orchestrated or hired them to commit this murder. But on that other important aspect that came out, the state introduced this idea. They say that there is strong evidence to suggest that this murder was politically motivated. They didn't go into the details of that, but it certainly gives some insight into the crime, why the crime was committed, considering the investigations Babita Deokaran was involved in.
Now, with all this stuff, what did the ANC do about Zweli Mkhize? What did President Cyril Ramaphosa do about Minister Zweli Mkhize? Minister Zweli Mkhize was placed on special leave, the same response as the one given to Minister Senzo Mchunu even now.
The president has furthermore decided to place Mchunu on a leave of absence.
In order for the commission to execute its functions effectively, I have decided to put the Minister of Police, Mr. Senzo Mchunu, on leave of absence with immediate effect.
Now, even though Zweli Mkhize was placed on special leave by the ANC, what happened? The ANC had a majority in parliament because of your votes.
Shopping sprees for luxury goods, an overseas jaunt, expensive home upgrades and other personal expenses. This is how the former health minister, Zweli Mkhize's close associate, were told, blew at least 1 million rand of the money meant for vital COVID-19 communications.
Even though the evidence showed that Zweli Mkhize is a dirty one, what happened? The ANC brought him back to parliament. Guys, you cannot honestly say that you care about your taxes and still vote for the ANC.
Mkhize's name also came up in the VBS mess after it was reported that in 2016, the ANC profited 2 million rand through donations from the bank towards its national election campaign. Mkhize, who was Treasurer General of the ANC at the time, allegedly reached an agreement with VBS Chair Chifuwa Matodzi where the ANC would raise money for the bank for municipalities and state institutions in exchange for millions. Mkhize confirmed that he did meet with VBS management and directors, but said this was a formally arranged meeting with the ANC's Treasurer General's office to introduce the bank to the organization.
You cannot say that you hate corruption and give the ANC your vote. It's it simply does not make sense. They claim that Zweli Mkhize's son was not a dependent, hence there was no conflict of interest.
Mr. Nkosi, as you would have heard there, one of the trending topics this morning speaks specifically to what was found by the Ethics Committee in the case of Dr. Zweli Mkhize, and people basically grappling, with the understanding of what constitutes conflict of interest, and I suppose more importantly, how your committee arrived at its final determination. So please, if you can walk us through it. The first part, for example, that dealt with the relationship between the former health minister and his son, and it concluded that the son that is a married adult, and therefore, as I understand it, but please feel free to correct me, not a close family member as defined in Parliament's Code of Conduct, because he is said to be financially independent as an adult. So what is a family member according to the code?
The Code of Conduct defines a family member, a close family, as a spouse, a permanent companion, or a dependent. Based on the evidence that we received from Dr. Zweli Mkhize and all people involved, the committee determined that on the basis of the definition, the son is not in a dependent relationship between himself and Dr. Zweli Mkhize. And that therefore meant that we do not have to go further and determine any other thing related to the first matter. And please remember that in our code of ethics, we are bound only by this ethic and not any other matter. The complaint was that the son received a benefit from DigiVibes that may be construed to have been a benefit as a result of his dependent relationship with his father, Dr. Zweli Mkhize. For us, the evidence that had come before us from affidavits from Dr. Zweli Mkhize, where he outlined his relationship with the son and declared that there is no dependent relationship between the two, that convinced us that there is no breach on his side. That doesn't mean that other authorities responsible for investigating, for example, whether there was criminality or otherwise in this matter, cannot find otherwise.
So if we look at the developments yesterday with regard to the SIU and the 5 new entities that they will now go after to recover funds from. One of those would include an entity that is linked to the wife of the former minister. So what does that mean for you and the work that you've done? Because you have been criticized even within your ranks of looking very narrowly at the rules.
Yeah, the complaint that came from us from Honorable Kharube did not allege a relationship of the spouse. It confined itself to the son, and that is what narrowed us in our investigation in relation to the son. We cannot investigate something that is not before us because our rules don't allow us to do so. If we were to do that, it would stretch and it would be found wanting. And therefore, Honorable Kharube requested us to investigate this particular issue involving Dr. Zweli Mkhize and the son, and did not go to the spouse. So we didn't have a jurisdiction to investigate the spouse, but only confined ourselves to the son.
So what does this mean for the committee's work now that there have been further developments?
On our side, the matter is concluded. Remember, we do not make criminal investigations. Our investigations relate only to the matter of a possible existence of or actual existence of a conflict of interest in relation to the member over whom we have jurisdiction. from our side, it is closed.
To this very day, Zweli Mkhize is still getting a handsome salary and some perks from your taxes. He's still a member of parliament. Life simply goes on for him. And he is not alone. In the same parliament, we also have people like Melusi Kikaba, the corrupt Gupta puppet, or allegedly. No matter what happens, the ANC continues to keep around the dirtiest of the dirty. And what makes you think that Senzo Mchunu will be any different? I really hope I'm wrong, but judging from the ANC's track record, nothing may happen to Senzo Mchunu.
The president announced his decision to establish a judicial commission of inquiry.
To address these allegations and the implications of these allegations, I'm establishing a judicial commission of inquiry that will be chaired by Acting Deputy Chief Justice Vusimuzi Matlala. The commission will investigate the role of current or former senior officials in certain institutions who may have aided or abetted the alleged criminal activity or failed to act on credible intelligence or internal warnings, or benefited financially or politically from a syndicate's operations.
A commission that will go on and on and on until everyone gets tired of talking about it and simply moves on. I really hope that they prove me wrong. Fellow South Africans, people like Senzo Mchunu are not just corrupt. They are dangerous because they weaken the state in its bones. Such people destroy the state to the point whereby you can't trust anything that the state does. You can't trust the police, you can't trust the courts, the government, nothing. And what type of life is that? Sadly, that is exactly what we have been seeing. But this can be a new season, a new chapter for South Africa. A time of truth, a time of taking what was done in darkness and bringing it to the light. A time of justice. South Africa has had enough of criminals committing crimes while the police officers, generals, or even ministers know full well who is behind the crimes but chose not to act because a criminal is their friend. South Africa has had enough of criminals being given free rein because they are donors to political parties or funding the lifestyles of government officials. For example, Vusimuzi Cat Matlala is the connected tenderpreneur or gangster criminal that was mentioned by Commissioner Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi as being involved with Police Minister Senzo Mchunu. No matter how Senzo Mchunu tries to avoid it, look at this recently published documentary that actually speaks about a kidnapped man who has been missing for months. The victim is a tenderpreneur who was close to Vusimuzi Cat Matlala. Vusimuzi is named as the man behind it. The kidnappers are demanding a ransom. In a nation where truth, justice, competence, and safety are prioritized, instead of this merely trending on the news and even on social media, by now this should have been resolved, should it not? Guys, please stop voting for the ANC and its babies who are more than willing to turn your nation into a gangster's paradise as long as they get a few millions into their accounts from the gangsters. Vote better. Note that the same Vusimuzi Cat Matlala was also reported to have been involved in the tenders that were exposed by Babita Deokaran. Those same tenders that resulted in the death of Babita, Vusi Matlala also had a hand in that. The ANC government was in charge of the police services. They were in charge of the Ministry of Health. They were in charge of the tender process. Through your vote, you were in charge of either removing them from power or giving them even more power to steal from and destroy your nation. You have a part to play. In Ekurhuleni, there was a scandal that involved a company called Cat VIP Protection Services. That company had its vehicles fitted with blue lights, and they were getting escorted by government vehicles from the police department as if they were government officials. Cat VIP Protection Services is one of the companies owned by Vusimuzi Cat Matlala.
On her Instagram account, Cordelia Kabeng posted a video from within a vehicle. Emergency lights can be seen fitted to the dash and a siren can be heard blaring as the car weaves through traffic. She describes this as blue lights to drop off the Queen and her cubs. Another video shows her travels as part of a cavalcade. The vehicle trailing hers is fitted with blue dash and grille lights. The use of blue lights is governed by the National Road Traffic Act, and their use is limited to the police and law enforcement. Unauthorized use is a criminal offense and can result in fines or imprisonment. Who is Cordelia Kabeng, and how did she come to enjoy her own personal blue light cavalcade? News 24 investigates. Kabeng's Instagram account is a tour of wealth, showcasing international holidays as well as fine clothing and accessories. But another video she published gives us an important clue. In it, Kabeng can be seen at an airport, showing off black sedans and SUVs with the caption, Mama Cat and her fleet. It also shows the plane she is about to board. News 24 identified the airfield as Windboom Airport in Pretoria by what is termed the Skinny Tower by pilots, this small air traffic control tower. Critical in this footage is a 2015 BMW 7 Series G11 and its license plate, JV09RTGP. Considering its interior features, like the lights above the driver, the armrest and gear knob, this vehicle is likely the same 7 Series BMW fitted with dash lights in the other video by Kabeng. An official Ekurhuleni Metro Police memo obtained by News 24 reveals that a security firm called Cat VIP Protection has a working relationship with the law enforcement body. This is a relationship most security companies do not enjoy. On that same letter is the registration of the BMW, JV09RTGP. The legitimacy and legal force of this letter is under investigation. Other cars in Kabeng's footage were identified by News 24 as those listed in the memo. We cross-matched the footage with distinctive features of the cars. Our analysis was confirmed by automotive manufacturing experts. News 24 has established that 3 of the vehicles are in fact registered to the Ekurhuleni Metro Municipality fleet. Exactly why they are also listed as part of a private security company's fleet remains unknown. Why is a private security company providing blue light escorts to Cordelia Kabeng? One possible answer lies in her self-assigned moniker, Mama Cat. This is an apparent reference to her connection with Cat VIP Protection and its current director, Vusimuzi Matlala. Neither would divulge the nature of their relationship, but Instagram posts and other publicly available documents provide the connection. Kabeng was once a director of the security firm. Matlala was linked to the Tembisa Hospital procurement scandal, the first shades of which were discovered by whistleblower Babita Deokaran before her murder. Matlala had 3 companies in trade with the hospital and flagged by Deokaran. These entities landed 4.4 million rand in contracts of medical goods. Another link between Kabeng and Matlala is the car with which she often poses, a 4 million rand Maybach GLS 600. Cat VIP Protection features the exact same make and color of vehicle in the header image of their website. 3 days after EMPD was questioned on the legitimacy of the memo and their relationship with Cat VIP Protection, Kabeng's Instagram profile, a chronicle of expensive handbags and her jet-setting lifestyle, was pulled down.
So basically, our police vehicles were used to escort Vusimuzi's wife to drop off her children. Why? Why? Voting for the ANC and its babies is really giving their gangster friends and family access to the nation's purse. At least we know that there are still police officers doing their work. But the question is, as they expose this rot, what will be our response? 2 minutes of anger followed by voting for the same rotten gangsters? Or the realization that the comrades are actually enemies of the state and voting them out? It is obvious that this guy is in too deep with the police. He has enjoyed the perks of a rotten system. Under the ANC, the system has been rotting and rotting. Do you guys see something? The more that these tenderpreneurs and gangsters that pose to be business people and politicians get away with their crimes and murders, the more the nation becomes rotten. Since the matter with Babita Deokaran was never resolved, it emboldened many of the criminals involved to steal even more and more money. It gave them the confidence to show their ugly heads and eliminate more and more of our people. The brigadier that was involved with Vusimuzi Matlala was first placed on suspension when the noise erupted regarding the blue lights and the police escorts related to Cat VIP protection services. But once the noise died down, Brigadier Julius Mkhwanazi, a director of specialized services at the Ekurhuleni Metro Police Department, was allowed to go back to work. The investigation just died down, just like many like it. Guys, how do you fix a country when you keep voting for people that allow this to happen to your country? How? They delete whistleblowers like Babita. They reward criminals and dirty tenderpreneurs like Vusimuzi Cat Matlala. They pretend to investigate like in the cases of Julius Mkhwanazi and Zweli Mkhize. At the end of the day, the fact that this keeps happening is the fault of the voter. The problem is this obsession with voting for comrades, this nonsense of elevating and even celebrating these tenderpreneurs who are living large at your expense. Guys, you need to take action in your communities. Educate each other on these issues. Anyway, that's it for today. Please share this video far and wide. Tell your grandparents, tell your children that we cannot continue like this. These people have destroyed our country, and if we continue on this path, this country will be ungovernable very, very soon. Let's vote wisely. No more ANC, EFF and MK, please. Let's use our heads to save our country. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Katlego. This is Citizen Concerned. And until next time, beware of the comrades.